What if the stress of your business isn't actually about the business at all? Our client was a powerhouse, a woman of immense capability who built a thriving business from the ground up. Yet, the moment success got too close, her body screamed, "Run."
Today we witness a moment that became legendary in our practice. A client literally bolting from her chair in a somatic flight response. We discovered that her fear of money wasn't a lack of mindset, but a deep ancestral loyalty to a story of blood money and tragedy. We are disentangling from the ghost of death to finally claim a success that is good enough.
Welcome back to Younique Yet Connected. I'm Nolitha and on Itolokazi, the explorer of the unseen, the unheard, and the untold. The space holder, seeker, and sacred witness in the work of Systemic Family Constellations. As always, I'm not alone. Kinga and Mika on the other side of the virtual. Over to you, Kings.
Thank you, Noli. Hello, dear listeners and co-editors. Hello, Nick. This is where we explore the hidden patterns that shape our lives. I am Kinga Siladi, facilitator and guide through the field where unseen truths rise to the surface. Together we walk the invisible terrain of the family soul, where the wisdom that speaks is when the system reveals itself.
Thank you for joining our movement of translating the wisdom of Systemic Family Constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand and, most importantly, implement in our daily lives. The Invisible Wall of Success. This is the Field Knows series. Today, we are stepping into territory that feels modern, but is incredibly ancient. The energy of money, and specifically the terror of having it.
Our client is a high achiever. By every metric, she is a success. Revenue is flowing, clients are moving, and her business is a beacon. Yet, she came to us with a confession. Her relationship with money felt unhealthy.
When she spoke about her bank balance, her body would tighten. She described a sense of apprehension, a feeling that she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. She couldn't enjoy the profit she worked so hard for.
Many entrepreneurs think this is just the price of leadership. But in systemic work, we look deeper. We ask, is this stress yours? Or is it an echo of a story that ended before you were born?
The field doesn't listen to what we say. It reflects what we feel in our nervous system. We set up a representative for the client and one for money. The air in the room changed instantly.
The money wasn't aggressive. It was just standing there. But the client's representative wouldn't even lift her head. She was frozen. It looked like a child standing in front of a giant they didn't understand.
There was a coiled spring energy in her. Usually, people turn away slowly. This felt like a desperate need to not be seen by the money. For her, visibility felt like a threat to her survival.
This is the paradox. Her mind wanted the visibility of a CEO, but her soul was working for the survival of a refugee. Her personal mind said, grow, but her systemic soul said, hide.
Survival meant being as far from that money representative as possible. It was a standoff where no one was fighting, but the client was already defeated by an invisible enemy.
We began to wonder if money represented a reward to her or if it represented a crime. In her lineage, was wealth the thing that brought joy or the thing that broke the family apart?
The physicality of the sphere became impossible to ignore. It moved from the floor into the chairs. The client sitting next to me was starting to breathe as if she were being hunted.
We weren't hunting ghosts yet, but the ghosts were already making themselves known. The client was loyal to a fear she couldn't name, and it was costing her her peace.
She was standing in the shoes of someone who had to run for their life because of what they owned. This is the weight of an identification.
She had vacated her own chair in the system. She was a placeholder for a catastrophic memory. To be successful meant to be a target. To be poor meant to be safe.
We had to find the source. We had to find the owners of the sphere because as long as she carried it, she could never truly occupy her own business or her own wealth.
It was time to bring in the ancestors and see who was actually doing the running. This is where the story moved from the bank account to the bloodline.
The Somatic Flight Response. Let's describe the moment that shocked us all. We are in a group session, and I'm sitting right next to the client. The representative for money took one slow, steady step toward the center.
At that exact moment, the client didn't just flinch, she bolted. She literally jumped out of her chair and ran across the room until her back was against the opposite wall.
She was trembling. She didn't consciously decide to move. Her legs had taken her away from the predator. This is what we call a somatic flight response.
Her nervous system perceived the representation of money as a lion. It was a visceral reminder that you cannot think your way out of a systemic trauma. So business books won't stop a flight response.
She looked at us with total confusion and said, I didn't even know I was doing it. I just couldn't be near it. This was the most important clue of the day.
The reaction was out of proportion to the current reality. Her bank balance wasn't threatening her life, but the energy of having it was triggering a survival circuit.
She was carrying the running shoes of a ghost. Someone in her line likely lost their life or their dignity because of money, and she was staying safe by refusing to let it get close.
What a price to pay. To be a successful woman living in a state of high alert, ready to flee her own life at any moment. She was a runaway success in the most literal sense.
We had her look at her empty chair. By running away, she had literally left her place. Fear was now occupying her seat of power, and the money was left standing alone.
We realized that for this client, success was trigger for catastrophe. We needed to find out who this scary money truly belonged to, so she could stop paying their debt.
We brought in the ancestors, but the client, now highly attuned, pointed to a different person in the room. She knew exactly which energy held the key to her flight.
As that person stepped in, the ancestral trio formed, two ancestors and a representative for money. They stood in a tight triangle, completely absorbed in their own drama.
They were focused on each other with a mixture of guilt and heavy loss. But here was the revelation. They were not looking at the client. She wasn't even in their movie.
The ancestors were busy with their own tragedy. They didn't need the granddaughter to run. They didn't even notice she was there. This is the aha moment of disentanglement.
The client stood across the circle and started to breathe. She said, I feel untangled, like I'm watching a movie that has nothing to do with me.
Exactly. This is the goal. For her to see that the scary money was their story, their death, and their fate. It was not her burden to balance their skills with her anxiety.
By aligning with each other, the ancestors were reclaiming their history. They were saying, this happened between us. It's over. The client was finally free to return to her own chair.
You are still listening to Younique Yet Connected. The theme for this episode is the runaway success, this entangling from ancestral money fears. Remember, when you comment, ask questions, and share our content, you help us grow this movement. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Younique Yet Connected.
The healing sentences and good enough money. The air was thick with history. The client was standing at a distance, finally in a place where she could observe without being consumed by the need to flee.
I asked her to look at the trio, the ancestors and the old money. She had to find the words to set herself free. She said, I see you. I see what happened between you.
Then the pivotal sentence, I leave whatever happened between the three of you. This is your fate. It is not mine. Her whole body exhaled.
Living with is an act of deep respect. When we try to carry our ancestors' faith, we are actually being arrogant. We are saying, I can handle this better than you could.
By leaving it with them, she was restoring the proper order. She told the money representative, you belonged to them. I have been running from you, but you aren't even looking at me.
The predator was just a memory she had been keeping alive by refusing to look at it. She then said, I am the one who lives now. I will do something good with my life in your honor.
The ancestors in the field seemed to settle. When we stop meddling in their business, they can finally find peace. But there was still a shadow, the habit of procrastination.
Success was a new country and she didn't have a map. We had to bring in something entirely new. Her money, the light, vibrant energy of her current business.
She hesitated. She said, I think I'm okay now, Kinga. We can stop here. This was a procrastinator trying to stay in the familiar zone of not quite enough.
I told her, no, we don't stop at not afraid. We go all the way to connected. They moved toward each other slowly. It was a dance of extreme caution.
It started with a single finger touching, then the palms. It wasn't a desperate grab. It was a steady adult connection. The first time she touched wealth without wanting to bolt.
She looked at this new money and said, "You are good enough for me. You are exactly who you are supposed to be." And the money replied, "You are good enough."
That was the moment the strange relationship ended. She realized she didn't need heroic money. She just needed a partner for her life and her work.
The relief on her face was like sunrise. Her success didn't have to be a burden. It could just be a resource. She stepped back into her chair as the owner, not the victim.
When we run from success, we aren't running from the money. We are running from the ghosts we've attached to it. Once those ghosts are honored, the money is just money.
She was finally occupying her own space in the circle. The channel was clear for a brand new connection with wealth that was unique to her and her time.
The runaway success had finally stopped running. She was ready to stay, to grow, and to enjoy the abundance she had worked so hard to create. Reflection exercise. We want to bring this movement to you now. Please take a moment to find a quiet space within yourself.
The pause check. Close your eyes. Think about your current bank balance or the success you are striving for. That money were to double tomorrow. What happens in your legs? Do you feel a jumpiness that says, run? Do you feel tightness in your chest like a hunted animal? Notice where the threat of success lives in your body. The ancestral look. Imagine the people in your line who didn't make it. Those who lost land, lost businesses, or died in debt. See them standing behind you. The sentence of honor. Say to them internally, I see what you lost. I honor your struggle. But I leave your debt and fear with you. I choose to have a good enough success in my own name. The integration. Imagine your new money standing in front of you. It is light and neutral. Reach out one finger and touch it. Say, you are good enough for me. We are partners now. Breathe into your place. You are the owner of your life. Your success is the best way to honor those who didn't have the chance to thrive.
In the next episode, we still share with you how the field reveals the roots, the repetition, and the release.
And along the way, we will guide you in understanding how this work can support your own healing, because the field doesn't just know my story, it knows yours too.
So take a deep breath, open your heart, and join us as we share with you what the field knows.
Because sometimes what you are searching for isn't outside of you. It is waiting quietly in the field for you to remember.
A big thank you to you for listening to our episode, and to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point.
For episode 97, tune in on Sunday, 14th of June 2026 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. For links and updates, stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram pages at Younique Yet Connected, Younique spelled Y-O-U-N-I-Q-U-E.
Stay unique, stay connected, and remember, you are one of a kind. We can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela, Kosonom, Bayadanki.
Thank you. Siyabulela, Kusanum, Bayadanki.